Good morning. The Financial Stability Board and the World Economic Forum have met in Toronto to decide the fate of the world yet again, alongside the International Monetary Fund, the IMF, issuing a warning. The US dollar is set to collapse, with Bitcoin being at 66,888. Peter Schiff is attacking yet again, while VanEck is launching a Bitcoin ETF on the Australian Stock Exchange. As the bottom in, we've got a couple of things to dive into this morning. First, a couple of messages from our good friend Peter Schiff. Despite buying from 11 spot Bitcoin ETFs, Bitcoin has traded sideways for over 3 months. The current price is 11% below the March high. If ETF investors have been buying, who's been selling and why? What happens when ETF buyers get tired of waiting and become sellers? 2, he's chiming in yet again. I wrote, Peter Schiff has been wrong since the start. Maybe this time is different. Diving into Peter. I wonder how many Bitcoin or Bitcoin ETFs were bought by hedge funds short in MicroStrategy. MicroStrategy tanks and funds unwind those trades. They will be big sellers of Bitcoin and Bitcoin ETFs. A Bitcoin crash will put more downward pressure on MicroStrategy, even as shorts cover at Sailor. Engagement farming yet again. Maybe a way to be able to approach Bitcoin. Most people, they do not get it. I and millions of others are going down with this ship. Shout out to Arson, Bitcoin therapy. My worst case scenario is Bitcoin falls. If Bitcoin falls is working until the age of 75, this is normal for most people anyway. It's Bitcoin or nothing. Reply to Alex Fetsky. Alex Fetsky's put out a new book, The Bushido of Bitcoin, the Bitcoin Times there. You can read them for free. Really high level articles. Check out that one and issue 3 with Jeff Booth right at the start. It is a really good read. But Svetsky, more important than buying the dip is the willingness to go down with the ship. A world without Bitcoin where you own nothing, have no privacy, and are doped up on antidepressants and digital toilet paper dollars is not worth living in. Bitcoin or nothing. 100% agree with that. A real quick shout out, real good reminder by D Wolf, Bitcoin or BTC. Funny this never makes the Bitcoin news. Guess a lot more. Must be panic-stricken short-term holders. Lightning Network is even cheaper. Bitcoin is ready for worldwide adoption. Talking about the transaction fees here. Good time to be doing a little bit of UTXO management. If we go over to mempool.space, they're a little bit higher here. No priority, 10 sats. Per VByte, low priority 15, medium 16, and high priority 17. It is a good time to be able to consolidate your UTXO. Super easy and probably a really good time, especially if you have been DCAing. If you've got a whole lot of UTXOs, consolidate them all into one. Now's that time. It's super easy to be able to do. Now, the IMF, the International Monetary Fund, have got a couple of things. The IMF, the World Economic Forum, and the Financial Stability Board all coming together. It's an interesting time in the space. It's an interesting time to be alive. Just shout out to everyone watching live or watching the replay. You're doing the right thing. Buy, stack, chill, smash. Smash that buy button, whether it's red, whether it's green, whether it's up, down, or sideways. It's a glorious time. The IMF, they issue a serious US dollar collapse warning as the Fed primes Bitcoin, ETH, and XRP for a crypto price boom. It's a little bit of an older article, but now after the Federal Reserve quietly admitted gold is replacing the US dollar, the IMF has warned of a striking decline in the US dollar's share of allocated foreign reserves of central banks and governments. A couple of funny things in here. Former Speaker of the House, Paul Ryan reckons dollar-backed stablecoins could starve off US debt crisis and help the US keep up with China. Game theory. And yes, they are talking about stablecoins, not Bitcoin. It is related with global liquidity. The US, they cannot afford to sit idly as its largest international competitor taps latent demand for safe and convenient digital money, Ryan wrote, pointing to China and Saudi Arabia, who are increasingly looking for options for settling payments outside the dollar system. People are moving away from dollars. A lot of people here in the chat are moving out of that fiat Ponzi scheme into the world's hardest money. Fed now admits some countries are moving to gold. Balaji posted text pointing to what the Fed says is a small group. That small group represents 3 billion people. So 37.5% of the world is moving away from dollars towards gold. Former billionaire and all-in podcast bestie Chamath Palihapitiya predicted Bitcoin could completely replace gold as countries adopt it, potentially pushing its market cap towards gold's $15.7 trillion. It's pretty close to a 15x from here. Even if it's only a 10x, let's go. It is game time. This is happening. So if we jump over to the Financial Stability Board, we'll dive into who these people are. They are connected with the World Economic Forum as well. We'll go back to 2022 and their agenda, but the FSB to extend its work on stablecoin risk in emerging developing economies. Member of the Global Financial Stability Board discussed areas that warrant further attention in the crypto sector during a meeting in Toronto last week. And you can see there the connection with the World Economic Forum, the people that want you to own nothing and be happy, to take away private property rights. Don't bend the knee to them, just buy, stack and chill. It's the peaceful process. But the FSB will undertake more work on the risks posed by stablecoin arrangements in emerging and developing economies. We'll also consider the challenges emerging from higher levels of stablecoin adoption in the crypto sector. Couple of fun things, if we can get rid of the ads. The FSB, which monitors the global financial system for systemic risk, said it will undertake further work on the challenges posed by stablecoins in emerging and developing economies. The decision was taken during a meeting in Toronto on the FSB's plenary, the sole decision-making body of the standard-setting advisory organisation, according to a Friday statement. Do not remember electing any of these people to look after the global financial system. Who put them in charge? The FSB has been one of the main architects of global crypto policy. Last year, along with the IMF, it framed a joint policy paper on crypto, warning against implementing blanket bans. That's really interesting. That's really good. They understand these stable coins are really the only way to be able to prop up the US dollar at this stage to mitigate risks associated with the sector. Just to be clear, I don't believe the United States dollar is going to collapse overnight, slowly and then suddenly. They're just going to allow people's purchasing power, whether it's slow or sudden, to decline, and everything on a fiat standard is going to get a whole lot worse. Couple of points. In emerging market and developing economies, crypto assets pose particular challenges for monetary policy and capital flow management. They don't want to, well, they do. They want to be able to watch, track, trace capital flows. I understand that point. They want more regulation between the G7 and G20 nations. Now, diving over to the FSB, the connection with the World Economic Forum. If we go back to October 19, 2022, it's not slowly they come up with these absurd plans to be able to take control of the world stage, the world financial markets. They'll do everything they can to be able to push through their agenda. Anyway, their 5 key things we'll dive into a sec. October 11, this is 2022, the FSB released its recommendations to strengthen international regulation of crypto assets and so-called global stablecoin arrangements. There are 5 points. Number 1, the principle of same activity, same risk, same regulation. The FSB has recommended that crypto assets, I understand the word crypto, I don't like it as much as the next person. It is what it is. This is the World Economic Forum. They're clowns. Anyway, regarding that, this is an attempt to stop traditional financial activities migrating to less regulated crypto asset markets. The regulated markets are what keep the average mum and pop out, keep them in financial destitution. They don't like that. They don't like people having another option. That's my opinion. Maybe they're not as sinister. Maybe the World Economic Forum is a force for good in the world. Anyway, the proposed rules also protect consumer and investors. They've been really good at protecting consumer investors and are proportionate to the risk presented by crypto. I understand crypto assets are incredibly risky. Bitcoin is not crypto, In terms of their size, complexity, and systemic importance, regulatory powers, cooperation, coordination, the FSB recommends authorities should have the appropriate power, tools, and resources to regulate, supervise, and oversee crypto asset activities and markets. Also recommends authorities should cooperate and coordinate with each other, both domestically and internationally. GFY authorities should use existing information sharing agreements. Obviously, they've got them here. Australia is part of the Five Eyes. Governance and risk management framework is number 3. Number 4, comprehensive regulation, separation of activities. Didn't work, and maybe this is a little bit of blowback from FTX. High standards for global stablecoin arrangements. We'll keep you up to date as they push through their, I believe it's a sinister agenda. It is for you to own nothing and be happy. Straight from the worlds of Klaus Schwab. Klaus Schwab, which is, he's stepped away from the World Economic Forum. As the director, as the head honcho, he's behind the scenes still pulling the public, the puppet strings of the public. This agenda for you own nothing and be happy, I think it's the most evil power play the world has ever seen, and we can fight it. All we need to do is buy, stack, and chill and hold that Bitcoin in self-custody. Don't leave it on exchange. Get your seed onto steel. It's really not hard. Please be a sovereign individual and fight against this tyranny. Bitcoin, it's been a little bit sideways as of late. We'll just refresh and make sure we're getting 666. Uncle Fink, Larry Fink, is saying good morning this morning. He's buying, are you buying? We did pump up over $67,000 in the last 24 hours. We hit 67,179 with a low of 65,000. Last week as well, 65,000 to a high about 69,945. 69 has been in play for a long time. It's been a fun time, as any time Bitcoin's at 69 or under is a good time to stack. We will look back at these days and be so grateful that we're putting in the proof of work, reading the books, buying, stacking, and chilling, so we don't need to eat the bugs from the World Economic Forum. Now, real quick shout out to the legends in the chat. We'll continue with the news. We'll get to a banter at the end. But Jake Thomas, Johnny, Yemen, Rory in the house, Gargoyle, Mr. Android, Habib, Jim T, Michael, AI Gone Wrong. What a name. Good to see everyone this morning. All the lurkers, say g'day in the chat. Now, block height. This is the best. Just keeps working. Look at those numbers. 848,386. Bitcoin 666. 66,650 sats per USD. Exactly 1,500. For every $10, you get 15,000 Satoshis. The market cap's only at 1.31 trillion. If we overtake gold, actually, let me bring up the Clark Moody dashboard this morning. Man, let me just flip over here while I bring it up, and I cannot operate or run this machine this morning. Now let's go. Oh, this morning, all-time high is exactly 10% when I checked it before, but 9.8% away from the all-time high, and gold's market cap 8.23%. Easy 10x. Over what time? Who knows? Who really cares? It's cheap at the moment. Regarding UTXO management, if you need help, today's sponsor, the Bitcoin Way. These guys, they're the best in Bitcoin to help you, to educate you, to be able to protect your stack. UTXO management, getting your Bitcoin off the exchange, air gap wallets, running a node, being self-sovereign, looking after that FU money. If you need help getting a second passport or becoming a digital ghost online, the first 30 minutes is free. Link at the top of the description. Now, the world, there's this saying, you cannot change Bitcoin, Bitcoin changes you. I believe the rest of the world's starting to wake up to this fact. We're going to dive into the Australian Stock Exchange in a second. But telecom giant and T-Mobile parent Deutsche Telekom plans to mine Bitcoin. This is incredibly interesting. They've dabbled a whole lot within the altcoin casino, within crypto for a long time. I'll dive into the article and what they have to say. But What a year, hey? We've got Trump advocating for Bitcoin. We have Biden having a blockchain council meeting in July. We have Nayib Bukele being re-elected again. VanEck. We had Monochrome as well launching Bitcoin ETFs here in Australia. It's an incredible time. The times where it's boring, people are getting annoyed that Bitcoin's only at 66,843. However long it stays here, make the most of it. And if it comes below, where you get Bitcoin even cheaper, like Svetsky and that gentleman from earlier before Arson, Bitcoin therapy, so many people are going down with the ship. There's no better option. If you know a better option, let us know. I don't want to support that fiat Ponzi scheme any longer. Now, the company also revealed that it's running Bitcoin and Lightning Network nodes. This was at Bitcoin Prague. They came out with a video. Bitcoin mining might soon gain a new player. Telecommunication giant Deutsche Telekom, the parent company of one of the largest US telecos, T-Mobile. We will engage in digital monetary photosynthesis soon. When asked by the conference host if T-Mobile is mining Bitcoin, he answered, "We will." That's pretty big. There is a video there. You can see under Daniel, this is Bitcoin Gandalf exposed. He came out and showed who he is. But T-Mobile, more than $200 billion market cap, largest retailer in the US telecommunications provider. People cannot get enough of Bitcoin. It's like, who would have thought? A couple of short years ago, we saw MicroStrategy, Michael Saylor, come into the space, and ever since then, it feels so slow. I understand, but when we look back in hindsight, all the adoption of Bitcoin, it is happening at a really rapid rate. It took gold, I think, about 15 years to get, or 5 years to get, no, 15 years to get to the market cap that it has. It's taken Bitcoin 5 months to surpass the inflows of what gold has. Fact check me on the numbers, but the math works out about that. Seb Bunny, he is the author of The Hidden Cost of Money. It's a good book. But over the last 100 years, the chains of ignorance and apathy still very much blind us. I freed 1,000 slaves. I could have freed 1,000 more if only they knew they were slaves. Good thing people are waking up that they are modern day slaves, which is, it's a tough pill to swallow. It's a hard pill to swallow, especially if someone's been working their whole life. They've gone to school. They've gotten a good job. They're getting paid an extraordinary amount of money, and something flicks or clicks within them. Maybe their super fund is locking them in, especially if you're in uni super here in Australia and it's a defined benefit scheme. It's the biggest scam. Like, super in general is a pretty big scam, especially with the Australian government wanting to use that super fund, the $3 trillion there, earmarked for people's retirement. People work their whole lives. They put it, they don't even put it there. It's taken out of their pay as they're working, and it goes straight into the super fund. They can't really do much with that until they hit retirement, unless you go self-managed. Then you can take Bitcoin into self-custody. Super easy. I use eSuper Fund. It's a super simple process, and you can hold your Bitcoin keys yourself, which is absolutely amazing. But with, say, Uni Super, you work your whole life, it's a defined benefit scheme, and the money's taken out, it's put in there, it's grown. What happens with the defined benefit scheme, if my understanding is correct, when you quit, when you leave, whatever, they will pay 7 times the average of your last 5 years of earnings, and that's how you go. If you've been working so hard, getting really successful, and then you slow down with that super, you go part-time or cut down to like 1 day a week or something like that, and you do that for a couple of years, well, the last 15, 20, 30 years that you've been contributing to the defined benefit scheme comes down extraordinary, and they're only going to pay you 7 times on that average, which is absolutely disgusting. In every single way, the government, the financial system is stealing off you. You get taxed a lot, and then they start printing money inflation, which is theft. It's absolutely disgusting. It's only due to people's ignorance that they do not see it. I understand the world's very hard. People are very busy, caught up in the rat race. But it's imperative to understand, if you don't understand this now, like for your friends and family, they're fucked. Like absolutely fucked. But there's an option there is Bitcoin. And if people can't understand that, get them to start understanding maybe gold as hard money, and then slide in with the orange pill. And hey, gold's been good. It's worked well for thousands of years. Decent enough. Bitcoin, it's just better. It's engineered to be better. And hopefully enough people come across. Otherwise, I don't know, the state of the world, I don't think it's going to get any easier. This gives me a little bit of hope. I'm against the ETFs. What I like about the ETFs is the marketing around Bitcoin, public awareness around Bitcoin. The ETFs are designed to suck people in and keep them in the ETFs, keep them in the same financial system. Maybe there's a 6102 event. Highly unlikely. Is it possible? Yeah. So I wouldn't want to subjugate myself to that risk. However, as people get used to Bitcoin everywhere, maybe the conversations get a little bit easier. I did notice after Larry Fink started pumping Bitcoin, it's a whole lot easier for people to get on board. They're like, shouldn't I just buy the ETF? No, don't be an idiot. Or buy the ETF if you need to, whatever. But it's not yours. You don't own real Bitcoin. You're just exposed to number go up. You're not a sovereign individual. On that thread, the Australian Stock Exchange gives its first approval of a spot Bitcoin listing to Van Eck. Now, this is not the CBOE. This is the Australian Stock Exchange, the ASX. Given the AXS size as the dominant exchange in Australia, its first approval, Van Eck Bitcoin ETF, could lend greater legitimacy to crypto and its associated ETFs in the region. They still get it wrong. CoinDesk, bloody hell. Bitcoin. Anyway, couple of things. ASX, which accounts for 90% of Australia's equity market, has approved its first spot Bitcoin ETF through Van Eck. The blog said Van Eck is launching the first Bitcoin ETF on the ASX on the 20th of June, and that it would be the lowest cost Bitcoin ETF in Australia. That's in 2 days' time from here. I'll keep you up to date with that. What happened with Monochrome here, which we'll dive into. We dropped that press release on the day of their launch. I think they've accumulated about 46 Bitcoin since launch. People here in Australia are so asleep to Bitcoin. There's this culture very often, and I don't mean to offend anyone, but people here, on average, not everyone, it's hard to say, the stereotyping, but they love booze and they love sports betting and they love just gambling in general. Not thinking, everyone's so busy. I don't know if people have it too easy here, but just doing that without looking outside the system, nobody's going to get rich on sports betting. And if they are that mentality, they're going to lose it anyway. People are ignorant to what's happening around them, and property prices are getting out of control. Inflation, electricity prices, everything's getting way out of control, out of hand really quickly. But if people are just saving a little bit in Bitcoin, it counteracts all that. You're going all in on Bitcoin. At least for me, it's done a hell of a good job to create peace, time, free the mind. Earlier this month, Australian-based Monochrome Asset Management Monochrome Bitcoin ETF, IBTC, won approval from CBOE. What a whole lot of acronyms. There's another one. Exchange, the smaller rival of the ASX. Australia's industry experts told CoinDesk earlier that there was more excitement for a spot Bitcoin ETF to begin trading on CBOE, Australia's largest rival ASX, due to the larger volumes available there. About 10 times bigger. So we'll see if they have 10 times more the inflows in 2 days. We'll see. It's a good thing if we can get the conversation, especially here in Australia, where Bitcoin's a good thing. Its number go up. It's protecting your purchasing power, protects you against purchasing power go down. We'll see what ads they come out with. It'll be an exciting time. We are going to dive into a banter. That's the news with the fast facts. Bitcoin a little bit sideways, a little bit boring at the moment. Be greedy when others are fearful. Charlie Munger or Warren Buffett? Warren Buffett. There this morning, ladies and gentlemen. What a guy. Total twat in regards to Bitcoin, calling it rat poison squared. But that adage, be greedy when others are fearful, now's the time. Now's the time when heroes are made. Now's the time when you change your financial future. Do everything you can for the next 4 years if you're just getting new into the space, to read the books, study it, make the most of it. For me, I don't believe Bitcoin's risky in the slightest. Volatile, yeah, but volatile to the upside over time. We are going to dive into a bit of a banter. If you're sticking around, g'day. Absolutely awesome. If you are heading off, hit subscribe on the way out. We do have Lawrence Lepard next week coming on. We've got Peter from the Matt Kim podcast, and I have been managing to get that Tony from the Bitcoin Way video out. It's radical. It's really radical. Anyway, jumping into the legends in the chat. Good morning, Blick and OPD in the house. Scott Tane, good to see you. Super is another tax. Yeah, it's a bit of a scam. As soon as I could figure it out, I could take it all into self-custody, run a self-managed super fund straight away. I'd so little in my super and crazy little amount in my super, and with stacking in Bitcoin and just holding it, what it's done in those few short years, absolutely wild. And you can't touch it either, which is fantastic. Gensler signed checks for the Steely dossier, no credibility whatsoever. Early on, out of phase, can you add a little bit more context to that for me as well, so I don't brush over it? Jake Thomas, early on, it seemed everyone was liking Gensler for the SEC. Now the Finkster is suddenly our friend. No. No, they're definitely not our friends in the slightest. The only thing that I want to give them credit for personally is bringing awareness to Bitcoin, allowing it to be safe in traditional investors' eyes. And Larry Fink's done a really good job of that. Between Fidelity and BlackRock, they own like over 400,000 Bitcoin, like 417,000 Bitcoin. Absolutely remarkable in 5.5 months. That's huge. They've done a good job to get people to be like, hey, this Bitcoin thing I need to pay attention to. Now, our job as the Bitcoin community, people that actually get it, is be like, great, Bitcoin's legit. Now its number go up. Everything Larry Fink said, flight to safety, flight to quality, but you need to hold in self-custody or you're still a slave. He's definitely not our friend. And Gensler, if anyone didn't know, back in the day at MIT, I believe was the university, he used to teach about Bitcoin, blockchain technology, issued people must read the Bitcoin white paper for homework. It's incredible. And then there's a paid man, hey? And I think we can thank a lot of that to Lizzie Dizzy there. We'll see what comes out of the Biden camp later on in July. AI gone wrong. You give the phrase dirty money a whole new meaning. Be sure and double mask and update your jabs. Gonna have to scroll up. It sounds like I've missed something there. Jake Thomas, shout out from Flyover USA. Johnny Midas, California desert. Good morning, my man. Yemen. Cheers, Jake. The US dollar will never go away because you can't stuff a CBDC and Janet Yellen's G-string. Would you want to? Wow. Isn't that a sadistic thought? Block height, 848,386. Good to see you this morning. Rory, Gargoyle. Rory, tomorrow, come on the show if you're free. Let's do it. Do your vibe, hit subscribe, bloody legend. No tax on the tips might free up more first-time sat stackers. Taxless tips for the win in November, absolutely. And if you are tipping, especially in the States, I was saying, hey, do you accept Bitcoin? Can I tip you in Bitcoin? They're like, what's that? We're like, shit, I'll tip you in fiat dollars and I'll give you some free Bitcoin. And it really lit up a couple of people. A couple of sats, why not? To see them on the Lightning Network, they get it instantly. It takes them maybe like a minute to download an app. You send them Lightning, they're like, whoa, that was quick. I thought Bitcoin was slow. And they're like, how much is it? And you're like, 66,889. They're like, oh, that's expensive. Just wait. Just wait till we overtake gold. Whether it takes 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, who cares? Bitcoin is going up into the right forever. The whole tipping method in the US is weird. I absolutely agree, but people are not paid a living wage. Is anyone anywhere in a first world country now? Is there anywhere in the world where anyone is really being paid a living wage? But in the States, the service sector, it's absolutely insane how horrific the pay conditions are, at least with the people that we were speaking to over the trips that we've been there. It's sad. What a shitty industry, but I think that's with everyone. And in so many ways, like if you're working for the man, if you're building someone else's dream, they're gonna fuck you in every single way. That's what the whole system's designed to do, is to keep people fucking slaves. It really does not matter. The only way is to go out on your own, to be able to build something and offer value to the world. But if you're just being paid a wage, a job just over broke, a wage slave, like, pretty pertinent, I think. And it's fucked up, it's unfair. The world is unfair. The world can be fucked up, but it can also be very glorious as well. We live in a time where we have access to unlimited amounts of information and so many opportunities. We're in the space, the world's hardest money, the greatest people, the greatest minds in the world congregating in one place. It allows ideas to be able to flourish, to be able to bring things to market, and whether it's in the Bitcoin space or outside, so be it. Whatever you can do to add value to the world, to people. There's so many problems. It's in every crisis there's opportunity. It's that it's the Chinese. I'll bring it up. Carter, is it? Is that Chinese crisis opportunity? Chinese crisis opportunity images. No, I can't find it. I'll try to bring it up tomorrow. Anyway, it's the same. Maybe it's Japanese, but it's the same picture. For every crisis, there is opportunity within it. Every crisis, there's freaking opportunity right there. 69,000 on the dot. Let's smash the buy button. Anyway, let's carry on. Sidetracked. Miss Android got that. Habib, good to see you this morning. Greeting for PA. I hear FSB and I think Russian intel. When I think about the world, Russia, China, the US, do you really reckon like they're just on the phone and they talk to each other? Like Australia and China talk a lot. We had Xing here yesterday buying up all the property. I have no idea. That's fake news there. But you think they just, like, the information they put out there is just all bullshit? Like, all the information that they put out there in general is bullshit. But they're like, we hate them, nuclear wars, missiles, the World War III. And they're on the phone, look at these fuckers. You know, let's just play games, put everyone into fear, into crisis mode. I don't know. And maybe they're just laughing and microdosing together on trips to Japan, maybe, eating magic mushrooms. If you know, you know. Greetings, Jake Thomas from Under Janet's G-String. AI, you have literally gone wrong this morning. He has a... Howdy, everyone. Please pound that like on the way in or the way out. WEF, the force for good. Of course, like, aren't they? They're It's easy just to throw profanity at the World Economic Forum, but I would really urge everyone to read Klaus Schwab's book, The Great Reset. He wrote another one as well. It's not as good as The Great Reset. His grand plan, his first book didn't take off, but The Great Reset by Klaus Schwab, it's a thriller. It's a psychological thriller. It's the most dystopian mind virus programming propaganda piece of material I've ever read or looked into. I've read it a couple of times now. But well worth everyone's time to see their agenda and then to be able to find systems, processes, money you can save and that will remove you from the dystopian digital gulag that these evil, controlling, parasitic class of individuals, self-elected, self-appointed individuals that are trying to control the world, are trying to put out there. Straight after that, I'd read The Great Reset by, of all people, Alex Jones. Together, whatever you think of Alex Jones, yes, he's heard it a couple of times, and I don't agree with a lot of the stuff he says, but he's called a lot of things, right? But that book by Alex Jones to read after The Great Reset by Klaus Schwab, The Great Reset by Alex Jones, I promise you it's worth your time if you read them back to back. It's yeah, wow. He's really looked into it. Whatever you think of him, it's well worth the time. AI gone wrong. You give the phrase dirty money a whole new meaning. That makes a whole lot more sense there. Be sure to double mask and update your jabs. IMF, you'll own XRP and be happy. XRP, I really believe, is there for CBDCs. And if you're for XRP or people, like if anyone in the chats for XRP, please read some more books. It's the greatest PSYOP, the XRP community. Insane. I understand Bitcoin is labeled as psychopaths, Bitcoin Maxi is labeled as psychopaths, but nothing like the XRP community. And where I think Bitcoin and XRP differ is Bitcoin's decentralized, but you also have very free, clear thinkers. Anyone in XRP is bought the narrative of what XRP is and could be, and they're simply there for number go up, whether it's for a CBDC or not. Like, it's not my cup of tea. I'm here for freedom, to be self-sovereign, and number go up. Yeah, that's great. But it's really to be able to have control of our own economic lives. CBDCs are not that. Yeah, I feel sorry for the XRP people. Early on, it seemed everyone was liking Gensler. We got through that one. And hey, British Huddle is in the house. Welcome back from your vacation. And a shout out and a reminder from British Huddle. Get to $1 now, if you can. It's on sale, $66,910. Whether it's 0.1 Bitcoin, 0.01 Bitcoin, 0.5 Bitcoin, 1 Bitcoin, 10 billion Bitcoin, not going to happen, 10 billion Satoshis. Whatever you can, that allows you to sleep easy at night, so you can sleep easy at night for the rest of your life. It's a good reminder, it's a good message, and British Huddle, appreciate you being in the house. Or in Bitcoin, the same sentence, something you don't see often. When Bitcoin goes, it really goes, absolutely. Shout out to Blick. Jake Thomas, on that, like, people are afraid at the moment. Like, you see a little bit of fear. It's been going choppy for 3+ months. And, you know, James Check, we've had him on a couple of times. Even 3 months ago, I was talking about we're probably going to go into a crab market. People are going to get crabby. Maybe we need to see max pain. But then lift off, and without pain, there is no gain. So get used to it. These dips, these pullbacks are nothing at the moment. You know, $4,000-$5,000 over the last little while. $10,000 from the all-time high. $8,000 from the all-time high. It's not much compared to the $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 days where we're just going to drop, and then maybe a day later we absolutely pump. Probably can drop quicker than it'll go up, but I think in hindsight, we're all going to be pleasantly surprised. British Huddle, if you're still on the chat, come on this week. I think next week's a little bit busy with guests, but yell out. I'll be in contact. Knox Bill, good to see you this morning. Crypto Gator, bartenders make tons of tips, but low wage. Absolutely. Used to work in bars all the time, even here in Australia. And like a long time ago. It's like 18. But it's a good way to be able to make an exorbitant amount of money and tips, or, you know, if you offer good service. And I was working on luxury cruise boats as well for many years, made a lot of tips, and people don't tip in Australia. But when you go over and above, people reward. Good. So there is an opportunity, but it's just like the day-to-day places where it's you don't really expect a high level of service. People are just going through, and there's really no opportunity there for them. If you're ordering a bowl of Mexican or whatever, we'd tip big, because it didn't really mean much for us, but a lot for them. But we also don't live in the States. Not every meal that we tip for, but maybe just give people a little bit more. Pay it forward, and if you can get them to accept Lightning as well, well done. Good job. Tony Love, buy Bitcoin, love your woman, and spread the word. Stack sats, store your seed, get sand, sun, steak, and enjoy sex. Do the S things. Greetings, British Huddle. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been a glorious time this morning. It's a glorious sunrise. We will see you tomorrow. We'll see if we can get British Huddle on next couple of days, next couple of weeks. A real gentleman might light up a cigar with him or not. Last time I stunk out this room. If you haven't seen it already, I'll bring it up real quick. The video I did with British Huddle was a lot of fun. A real lot of fun. Your channel. We'll find out where it is. Videos, podcasts, it should be under, I think.
Bitcoin.
Oh, this one was a fun one with Bram. We really dived into the spiritual rabbit hole side of things. Michael Dunworth, Blick is in the house this morning, the guy that chopped all my hair, and then we went for a drive in his V8 supercharged Jag. Whole lot of fun. Eric Kaysen, yeah, that's intense, man. Peter Dunworth there. But where is the British Svetsky? This one, he's like the most toxic Bitcoiner. I'd check it out. But yeah, British Huddle. It's a fun one. I really enjoyed it. I hope you do too. Check out the videos under the podcast section. They are the best and brightest minds in Bitcoin. If you've got any requests, hit us up on X or in the comment section after the video. Do something nice for yourself. If there's somebody else, buy, stack, and chill. Don't worry, this is a blessing. This is absolutely glorious. Enjoy it. It won't last forever. It lasts for a little bit longer if it comes down. It's all good. It's all freaking gravy, baby. We are winning. Stack sats. And when you hear about the WEF, the IMF, tell them to go fuck themselves. We don't need it. Peaceful protest. We have Bitcoin. Be blessed. Peace.